doesn't love a good t-shirt? And with March Madness and St. Patrick's Day here, meet the company that's making millions around just that, taking you inside the screen printing business right here at the NASDAQ market site. Hello everyone, this is Jabari Young, senior editor at Forbes, and I am at the NASDAQ market site, joined by Stephen Farag, right? The CEO of Campus Inc. I said your last name right? I did, all right, good. I was testing it earlier, making sure I said it right. Stephen, thank you so much for the time, man, joining us at the NASDAQ market site. And you have a NASDAQ Forbes exclusive for us, right? You're coming off of a $2 million raise. Close includes our good friend, Renee Montgomery. She's the co-owner of the Atlanta Dream, the WNBA team. Already had an investor, Mark Cuban. Scrum Ventures, another venture capital firm that's backed Campus Inc. Take us inside the business and this $2 million raise. What are you gonna do with the money?
Well, we have a busy March ahead of us.
Yeah.
We are supporting now over 60 teams, 53 universities. We're licensed with 90 schools, 8,500 college athletes,
nice.
All selling their official licensed apparel.
Yeah.
So we've got a lot of work to do, and we're going to use a lot of that capital to invest it in technology to keep helping pay our athletes really well.
Absolutely, man. Listen, NIL, a lot to get into about this business, the custom screen printing business. Now listen, this is a $9.5 billion industry, and the screen printing, apparel printing takes up about $4 billion of that figure, according to IBIS. The screen printing business is a very interesting business. Right now, I was listening to your story, and you started off printing T-shirts. Brian Scalabrine, a St. Patty's Day T-shirt that you printed for him. But listen, you guys basically are taking these T-shirts and you're selling them, and you're splitting the money with the revenue, splitting the revenue with the athletes and the schools. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Now, with this particular revenue, right? I mean, explain how it's making. How do you guys make the money, and how do they make the money?
Yeah. So we really go to the universities with a solution.
Yeah.
And our solution is that all of their athletes, any sport, any athlete, is able to sell their officially licensed collegiate apparel with their name and number on the back of it. Now, we sell a shirt, online. Athlete's going to make anywhere between 15 and 20% on every piece of apparel sold, and they're going to get it put in their bank accounts every couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And so we want them to be the focus of it, them to be the center of the equation, and with how talented they are on social media, we really want to bring them into the creator economy that they've been missing out on.
Absolutely, man. Listen, NIL space, and listen, he brought us this great jersey right here. I'm holding it up right here. This is the BLK original right here. Stephen, thank you so much. Did you tell? You guys making good stuff here. I didn't know. It was a total surprise. So thank you so much, man. The NIL space is definitely interesting. Again, I want to get your take on that. But again, Campus Inc., I'm looking about 75 employees. You're headquartered in Central Illinois, right? This is a company that started in 2015, restarted, right? We were talking about, is it a startup? Is it not startup? He said it's a restartup because you guys basically invigorated a business from 1947, a basic t-shirt printing shop, and you're turning it into this e-commerce business. Fanatics is a partner and also a competitor, right? I'm very interested into the long-term sustainability of Campus Inc.
Sure. So I sold apparel in college.
Yeah.
And I had to go up to this local t-shirt business to print for me. Well, between class, I just spent all my time learning about the industry, and the day I graduated college, they took me into business.
Yeah.
So I have a business partner who's twice my age, looks nothing like me, and he taught me everything about the business. But really what he did is he gave me the tools and the vehicle and the space to go do, what a 22-year-old would do in the apparel industry. And so I quickly turned that around and said, let's teach college students how to design and sell apparel. And we did that, and we still do that today. We have about 300 students that work for us in the Greek space. But really when things started taking off is when we got into the NIL industry. And we made the University of Illinois basketball team over $100,000.
Yeah.
We did that over the course of one season. NIL was brand new, and we knew we had something special. That's when we got Mark Cuban's investment, and then the dominoes really started to drop.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
How does March Madness help you? And I mean, I know you guys just paid out $1 million total, right, in January of 2024. And me and you spoke, and you want to try to pay $300,000 March Madness. How is March Madness going to help you guys drive revenue?
Yeah. So Campus Inc. thrives on hot moments, right? Yesterday, we had hot moments in some championship games. We're going to see more and more hot moments happening during the tournament. And what we're able to do is essentially be in the backcourt of our athletes. When they're putting the ball in the back of the hoop, we're in the background designing for them, creating for them. So when they hit a buzzer beater, they're going to have a shirt live that night or the next morning. And as they celebrate different rounds of the tournament, they're going to be able to benefit every part of the way. So March Madness is absolutely huge for us. Last year, we were really fortunate to have both UConn and San Diego State and LSU on the women's side. This year, like I said, 60 teams across the men's and women's. So it's going to be very, very busy.
Absolutely. I mean, listen, you don't pay guarantees, though. I mean, some agencies and some t-shirt print, they pay schools guarantees, and this is where they get a lot of debt, right? You don't pay that. This is a strict rev share deal.
Right. So we pay a pretty high rev share,
Yeah.
almost 2 to 3 times the industry standard. And we pay that money very quickly. Now, an athlete doesn't make money until they sell a shirt, right? And so early on, Mark gave us some really good advice. He said, look, your advance is your track record. You did this for the University of Illinois. This model works. And we've gone to some of the biggest agencies with some of the biggest athletes and said, look, we have a formula here that works. Trust us. And so far, it's worked.
Yeah, so let's say, right, I'm in the tournament, right? Forbes, BLK, we in the NCAA tournament, and I hit a game-winning shot, and I want to make sure I want to make revenue off that game-winning shot. Somebody takes that photo, it's a perfect shot, maybe Jordan-esque, right? And they have the license. You guys can get that photo, put it on a T-shirt, right, and start selling it for, I don't know, $34.99, right? You sell out. You sell 1 million T-shirts for $34.99. I get 15% or 20% of everything that y'all make on there, right?
Yep. Forever.
Forever, right. And it's just not just forever. So if they buy that shirt 20 years, I still get that.
As long as you're still on the website and you still got a contract with us, forever. And one of the coolest parts is, say Dick's Sporting Goods wants to buy that, we're going to turn around and sell that to Dick's for you.
Wow.
And so, you know, the next week you might see your jersey across retailers across the country.
Yeah.
And that's something we can do in the background and then obviously pay you every time that happens.
Yeah. Now, listen, you also have that service because I know you were talking on a podcast explaining your business, and I'm listening, and you do all the things that people don't want to do, right? You handle the customer service. I think you made the comment, well, who wants to have a T-shirt on their desk, right? They want to go pass that off to somebody else, and this is where you guys come in. You take care of the order. You take care of all the customer service. You take care of everything, so that person in between just collects the profit.
Yeah. We know that athletes are super busy.
Yeah.
They're also students.
Yeah.
Right? So they have to go to class, they have to go to practice, they have to travel. So they don't have time to design, answer customer emails, go to a merch company and figure out how to do it. So we are their back office, and we're an extension of their brand.
Yeah.
And so if a fan gets a shirt and the size is incorrect or it doesn't fit them, we're going to do free returns and exchanges. We're going to take care of the university's marks because the university is also trusting us with their IP.
Yeah.
Right? And so we have to be really good stewards of both the license of the school and the brand of the athlete all at the same time, and that's something we're very, very careful about.
And Fanatics is a partner, right? Take me inside of that relationship. I've covered Fanatics for a long time, and this is one of those supplier partnerships they have, a competitor, but also a partner. Take me inside what you guys have there.
Fanatics is an inspiring company,
Yeah.
right? As a t-shirt individual, I look up to everything that they do, and obviously we aspire to do what they do. At the same time, their core focus isn't designing merchandise for 10,000 college athletes every single night. They've got their hands full.
Yeah.
And so what we're able to do is essentially be really good vendors to them. And if we have a really hot moment or an athlete that's doing really well, they can then purchase those from us, sell them to their fans, and we have a really, really strong relationship with that. And we do that with other retailers and other stores like Dick's, like I mentioned.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, you got $2 million raised, right, with this one, Renee Montgomery, again, an investor. How much total?
So total we've raised is $4 million.
$4 million total, right? And are you seeking more investors?
Right now, no. So, you know, if we decide to go to a Series A down the road, and that's something we want to do, we're obviously always talking to individuals, but we have our work cut out for us. We need to get our heads down and really keep building and servicing them. And, you know, if we need to come back and raise, we obviously will. We've gotten a ton of interest, which we appreciate, but it's time to get in the trenches.
Yeah. Flashback for me right fast, man. Take me back to 2012 when me and you were talking about that Brian Scalabrine, that St. Patty's Day t-shirt, and that moment went viral, right? What did you learn from that experience?
Well, several things. That was an opportunity where I saw our University of Illinois campus celebrating quite a bit. We have some incredible minds there, and you know, we like to have a little bit of fun.
Yeah.
And so I made a design, we put it out there, it went off the charts, and next thing you know, I'm collecting money online. It's pouring into my bank account, and now I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to figure out how to get this printed, distribute it, and then my dad calls me and goes, you should probably register as an LLC and pay sales tax. This is me at 19 years old. And so I'm figuring it out as I go. I'm scrapping, but one of the coolest parts is my current business partner today, Jed. He kind of saw it and was like, do you have a place to distribute them? Well, you can use the bar next door, right? Come upstairs and work on the designs. He would invite me over to his house and we'd work on them together and figure it out. And so I was really well supported and insulated, but it was a wake-up call to business very, very quickly.
Yeah. NIL space, man. I'm gonna dig into that, and again, I'm gonna keep teasing it, but I don't want to miss that Mark Cuban email, because here you go on a late night, right? Here you get this Mark Cuban investment. You type out an email, and then at the end he says, "Hey, maybe this is the best way to get a hold of you at 10 p.m. on a Friday night," right? I would think that you made Mark Cuban laugh, and you were right. The reason why you did it is because Mark Cuban did, I don't know if he still does, read his emails. I've known, right? You could catch him if you know it, and he'll respond to you. But here you go making that pitch on a Friday night, man. What got into you? How much liquor did you have for you to email Mark Cuban on a Friday night, right? And then say, hey, maybe this is the best way to get you, 10 o'clock at night.
I am, in college, I sold T-shirts. I also painted houses. I learned how to cold call.
Yeah.
And so I am not afraid of rejection, and I can celebrate rejection and looking like an idiot, and that's totally fine. And I knew that we had something here. We really needed a strategic partnership. And so I'm like, I'm just going to go knock on doors. And I went on Reddit. I saw that he would answer emails. And I said, you know what? Let's figure something out here. I crafted him an email on a Friday night. The irony of it is I forgot to ask him for anything. And so he emailed me back. He said, why are you emailing me, to brag?
Wow. And so how did you reply?
And so I know he was an Indiana Hoosier. I'm an Illini, so I started talking a little bit of smack. Went back and forth. I made an ask, and by Saturday afternoon, he made an offer to invest in our business.
Man, that's wild. Were you scared when he said, why are you doing this, to brag? I mean, did your heart jump like, oh, damn, what did I do?
I have on my email read receipts. I can see how many times people read an email, right?
Oh, wow.
It's a sales thing.
Yeah.
And so I was like, he read it. He read it again. He's opened it. And then next thing you know, he responded. I'm like, oh, crap. I forgot to ask him for something.
Yeah.
And I spun it back, and so to date, it's the best, worst cold email I've ever sent.
Yeah, what's the best piece of advice he's given you so far?
Tons of advice. So what's really cool about him is, he'll respond in seconds, and he emails back within an hour of some advice. And some of the best thing he said is be a business that lasts. If you last, you will win. Don't worry about chasing, everything that's a shiny object. Figure out how to get your business profitable, figure out how to build strong relations, and figure out how to last.
Yeah.
If you last, you win.
What's it like being a CEO, man? You're young. How old are you again?
I'm 32.
32 years old, right? A 32-year-old CEO of a company. Again, you're starting up, right? This is a restart company, taking a business that was established in 1947 and kind of reinvigorating, I hate that word, reinvigorating that business today. What's the biggest thing you've learned, and what's it like being the CEO of this?
I think I have I'm a special individual. I'm feisty. I'm a little rebellious. I don't like to be told no, and I like things my way. I have a little bit of OCD, if you will. What I've learned is to grow a successful company, you have to hire incredible people, trust them, and literally let them pave the path. I cannot physically do all the things in my business that I want to. I have to learn how to let go and let them make mistakes, right? I feel like, CEOs, they want to be in everything and on everything, and those are days that kind of drove me nuts. It wasn't until I started letting go and just trusting that it's going to figure itself out. I have amazing individuals. I have some of my closest friends working with me in the business now that I can finally afford. And literally, it's a 1 + 1 is 3. I am just one linchpin in all of it. And there's amazing people around me that are able to successfully grow the company. And the more time I just spend with them, learning from them, the more our business continues to thrive.
Yeah. What's your message to that young entrepreneur? Maybe somebody that is out there printing t-shirts and they're trying to get in, right? I mean, it's a big business, licensing, you got to go through the right path. Some people don't do it, but what's that message to that young entrepreneur that wants to do it the right way?
This is something I was listening to a podcast from Jeff Bezos on the Lex Fridman show, and you have to give yourself the ability to improvise and the ability to chase improvisation. And so you have a split moment in time to improvise and chase it. And there were so many inflection points in our business where the easy answer would have been no. It's going to be too hard to do a pop-up store. It's going to be too hard to do this. We're never going to get licensing. And when you continue saying no to those things, you just lose the surface area to be successful. And so the biggest advice I'd give is, you're going to get lucky. Increase your surface area as much as possible and let yourself wander a little bit and let that wandering take you where it's going to take you.
Yeah, I don't touch the NI space too much, man, because it's the wild, wild west, right? But I was getting calls on you, and I'm like, all right, I'll talk to the CEO. I learned a lot just researching you, but when you look at NIL, all right, that entire landscape right now, you have some people think they don't like it. Coaches are saying it's bad for college sports. Athletes are profiting off of it. Again, I get both sides. But when you look at the NIL landscape, what do you see?
It's amazing. It's incredible. And I think we have hundreds and thousands of some of the most talented, passionate, competitive individuals that they've never been able to make the decisions for themselves.
Right.
Everyone else is always making the decision for them. Finally, they have a way to advocate for themselves, they have a way to speak out for themselves, they have a way to profit for themselves. Because for most of them, this is the first time they're ever making money in their lives. These are pivotal years. So I think it's a beautiful thing that we're taking the creator economy, the influencer economy, and essentially colliding it into college sports, and then letting that ecosystem develop into what we see today.
Yeah, so you don't concern yourself. There's a human being element of it all, right? I mean, you have athletes making money, and maybe that leads to jealousy and all of that. That doesn't concern you whatsoever?
No, not at all. In fact, we're seeing athletes lift each other up.
Wow.
A really great example is at UConn. Paige Beckers, she's got millions of followers. International athletes aren't allowed to promote their NIL. And so Nika Mule, we have her on our platform. Paige is able to help promote her apparel because she's an international student and can't post about it. We're seeing athletes wear each other's merchandise when they're traveling on the plane. We're seeing friends and family do it. They're all rooting for each other. They're teammates.
Yeah.
They're family. And so it's a beautiful thing to watch and be a part of.
Yeah, you talk to your customers, obviously you have to, right? What's one positive surprise that you've given since you've been a CEO of Campus Inc.?
Probably not a surprise, but it's really cool to see what's happening in women's sports, right? We believe that a t-shirt connects an athlete to a fan.
Yeah.
And so now you're seeing little girls in the stadium wearing Flage and Angel Reese's jersey, and instead of signs that say, I want to be like Steph or LeBron, it's signs that say, I want to be like Caitlin.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
And women have, always had to promote for themselves and advocate for themselves. I think the TV stations are just finally catching up to what we're seeing, and that's just been an amazing byproduct of NIL.
Yeah, I was at the WNBA finals right here in Brooklyn, and I had my kid with me, and it was electric. I mean, It was phenomenal. One negative surprise, right? We can all do better. There's no company that's perfect. What's one thing, negative surprise, that Campus Inc. still has to work on?
We have to spend time educating a lot of different people. We have to spend time educating athletes. What are you able to do? What are you not able to do? We have to educate fans. What's real NIL and what's the NIL you hear? What's the TMZ NIL, if you will? And then we have to spend time changing the minds of industry leaders that have been in the space for a long time. Those might be athletic directors, those might be coaches, those might be managers, those might be industry leaders in the apparel industry. And sometimes we get our hands slapped a little bit. But we have to have those hard and challenging conversations because NIL is changing the landscape of the way it ought to be. And a lot of that is controlled by a few very powerful people. And so there's definitely a point to be made of a continuous pursuit of education and a paradigm shift in thinking.
Yeah, get you out of here on some macroeconomic stuff, right? You're a CEO, right? You are in an industry where discretionary spending, it matters, right? Because that discretionary money buys your t-shirts, and with that money you pay with the athlete, right? So it's a trickle-down effect. Right now the U.S. economy seems strong, but as a CEO, what are you watching?
I'm looking, we're in the college space. And college is usually pretty stable, if you will, meaning when the economy goes up and down, people continue going to college. Sports continue to happen as long as, we can still have sports. And so fans are still engaging. And so we're not seeing a ton of consumer behavior. I'm not seeing a lot of shifts. So I'm not terribly worried about it. I think what we are seeing is a course correction from COVID a little bit. Events are spectacular. People want to be in person. People want to celebrate that even more. But the one thing we are seeing is merchandise is turning into a collectible. People are thinking about merchandise differently than a throwaway t-shirt anymore into something that's special. And that's probably the greatest thing I can see as a CEO in the apparel industry.
Yeah.
But hopefully not too much disruption.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, U.S. presidential race, right? Without looking at the sides, what do you want to hear as a CEO from both candidates on both Democratic, Republican, a third party? What are you listening for as a young CEO?
You know, I'm very active in listening to how our college institutions affected, you know, how are MAP grants affected, or Pell grants, and how's financial aid, and what's college debt look like. But there's a lot of stuff going on in Congress for the college athletes right now. The one good part that I see is it's been mostly bipartisan, which we appreciate, meaning people agree that the current system is not sustainable. So as long as there's advocacy for them and that the athletes and the students are going to continue to have a voice and more of a voice, that's really what, you know, what's concerning me today.
Absolutely. Generative AI, a buzzword. I was listening to the HP CEO and he was talking about language models going into printers, right? And them rolling that out. I would think that would impact your business. How is generative AI going to help or hurt Campus Inc.?
Yeah, so we're a design company at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And we have hundreds of students that are learning design in our ecosystem. And then we have a ton of artists that actually are designing in real time for those athletes. And so we are absolutely using AI to help us out. But really what we're trying to do is, you know, give more tools to our athletes and our students to create cooler merchandise.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool to see what a 19-year-old's capable of. Like, I can't make a TikTok, they can make it. These are the tools that they're learning how to use. So it's really, really interesting to see when they come to me and say, Steven, look what I made with AI.
Yeah.
And you're like, wow, that's pretty rad.
Yeah, I'm telling you, Jen, I mean, I have to subscribe to OpenAI, I guess,
Right.
one of these days, right? Leadership stuff, Forbes be okay, right? They love a good book. Springtime's coming up. Any good leadership books that you would recommend for springtime reading?
I need to get the author of it, but I believe the book is called Think Again.
Think Again.
Think Again. And the reason I really like it is it teaches you how to learn to be wrong, right? And says, like, how can we become more self-aware by learning what we don't know? And how do we go into a world where we're more curious, or we're more open, or we try to have a better sense of understanding each other or understanding ourselves so we can be better learners. It's just a super humbling book to read that I recently finished.
I might have to think again about my book purchase and go get that, right? Think again. Last thing, man, Jim Collins wrote a good book, a great book called A Good to Great. I love that book. What's the difference between a good, I was gonna say print company, right? But I'm gonna switch it up. What's the difference between a good pitch and a great one? Because you look like you got a great pitch. You pitch Mark Cuban, you pitch Renee Montgomery, again, Scrum Ventures is some of your investors. So what's the difference between a good pitch and a great pitch?
Well, I think, you know, everyone has a problem and a solution, but what's the emotional attachment, right? What's that third leg that brings it all together? And so there's tons of companies out there that can identify a problem, they can identify a solution, they can identify an addressable market, but what's the glue or the value prop that really, really brings and ties it together? What's the thing that you look at and say, woof, I feel that in here. That really, really makes sense. And when you're able to bring that emotional attachment into technology and business, you can see something and look at it and get excited about the future of it, right? It's not just a product, it's not just technology, it's a real organization.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, everybody loves t-shirts. You go to a game, NBA games, and when they toss those t-shirts, everybody goes crazy. And I was asking my daughter, I said, do you like t-shirts? Yes, I love t-shirts. They're cool. Human attachment is very, very key. Steven, thank you so much for the time. Thank you so much for the Forbes BLK jersey, right? Don't be surprised, man. Your website might get hit up. You might have to sell out of those. And we get some of the profit over there, right?
100%.
I appreciate that. Appreciate that.
Too.
Hey, man, good luck to you. St. Patty's Day, March Madness. Look forward to talking to Campus Inc. again, man. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much.
All right.